today this video is going to be for you because I want to talk to you about this. Stop outsmarting yourself. 7 things you can do to stop being too smart for your own good. Heard somebody say a long time ago, when somebody who they were coaching wanted to argue with them, and he said to this person, "You be right, I'll be rich." And I thought, wow. Well, let's dive in and figure out these 7 things. Number 1, this is how so many people, this is millions, maybe billions of people in the world, how they outsmart themselves and are too smart for their own good. They let a whole day go by where they don't learn anything new. Like, how in the world can we be surrounded by all of this amazingness and all of this beautiful grandeur and design and not go through life with a perpetual question mark in our mind, asking, I wonder how this works, I wonder how that works, I wonder why this happened, I wonder how that happened. Like, I'm just fascinated that there's so much that I don't know. And it's really fascinating also that the people who feel like they know the most actually know the least. Why? Because they stopped being curious when they graduated from high school. And maybe they weren't even curious then. I've noticed that in my own coaching that I talk to a lot of people after they get out of high school, they haven't read a book. Do you like to read? No, not really. Like, what is that? Do you understand? They spend 20 years of their life cracking the code to something. They spend 2 years of their life writing it down in a book. You could read that book in 2 hours, but you're too busy doing who knows what, for God knows why. It doesn't make any sense. How can you let a whole day, 24 whole hours go by and you don't learn anything new? Now, I'm not the smartest person in the world, but I'm smart enough to know there's a whole bunch of folks in God's big old earth that know more than I do. And I want to spend as much of my life as possible finding it out. Why? Because the more I learn about how life works, the better I can live my life. And the better I can please God and the better I can serve other people. So here's what's amazing. Learn to develop a level of curiosity. I believe one of the primary reasons, maybe even the biggest reason that keeps people from learning new things is believing that the stuff they know is already enough. Well, the stuff I know has gotten me to where I am. I know, but what got you here won't get you there. So why stay stuck like chucking a pickup truck on some knowledge that was 2022 and now it's 2025? And the world has changed a lot in the last 3 years. So I'm going to show you why I believe that is. So what happens is we have what I call a knowledge base. By the way, this is nothing I'm about to draw on this board is scientific. It's just an illustration to help you conceptualize an idea that I think will make you a better learner. So we all have a knowledge base around different disciplines. We may know something about science, we may know something about math, we may know something about social media, we may know something about business, and our knowledge base has these things that I call idea receptors. I guess in real life, this is how the reticular actuation mechanism works in our brain. You buy a new car. You never see that car on the road until you buy it, and it seems like everybody has that car, right? Because now you become hyper aware of this car, and now you see it everywhere. So our reticular actuator actually works like this. We have these little vacuum tubes that suck in all the knowledge that's directly outside our knowledge base. But there's all this stuff out here that we don't know, and all this stuff out here that we don't know, and we haven't discovered this yet, and we don't know anything about that yet, and we don't know anything about this yet, and we got this over here, and we know the stuff that's here, we got this on lock. We come in contact with this and say, oh, that's pretty good, and we suck that in, and then we suck that in, and we draw in all this knowledge that's directly outside our knowledge base. Our knowledge base gets bigger, it has a bigger surface area, so now we have more room for more idea receptors, and we come in contact with more ideas that are now here. And so that's why the people who learn the most feel like they know the least. Because the more I learn, the more I come in contact with more things and more disciplines that I don't understand. And so because of this, don't let a day go by where you're not learning something that you didn't know yesterday. Like, be reading a book, be watching a tutorial, be asking someone a question. Why? Well, because I've discovered that the more I know, the better I can go. So I'm going to keep on learning. Well, that's mistake number one. Stop. 7 things you can do to stop being too smart for your own good. Stop letting a day go by where you don't learn something new. Number 2, stop thinking that being educated is the same as being smart. I have coached thousands of people. Like literally, that's not an exaggeration. I've coached thousands of people, and I've discovered that the people, this is not 100% true, but it's largely true. The people that have the highest degrees from higher institutions of higher learning are the hardest to coach. And they struggle the most in business. Why? Because they let what they know keep them from learning what they don't know. There's a passage in Hosea that says, "My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge." Do you understand how paradoxical that statement is? My people. They've got access to God's knowledge, but they're destroyed for lack of knowledge. Now, my question was when I read that, why do God's people lack knowledge, Tim? That's a good question, isn't it? Why do they lack knowledge? Well, it tells us in the next verse, because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee. It wasn't that they couldn't learn that they didn't learn. It wasn't that they couldn't know that they didn't know. It was because they wouldn't know that they didn't know. Let me ask you a question. What knowledge are you resisting because of the things you already know? Like when I'm having a conversation with somebody, I am way more interested in learning what they know than I am in demonstrating to them how much I know. Like, become more curious. When you have too many answers, you don't ask enough questions. And it's not the answers that you know that make your life better. It's the questions that you haven't asked yet and the answers that you haven't yet received. Don't make the mistake of thinking that being educated is the same as being smart. Be smart enough to know that whatever your education level is, you have not yet learned enough. Can I get a witness? So don't make the mistake of thinking that being educated is the same as being smart. Because I know a lot of people who are educated and just can't get it done because they let everything that they know stop them from learning the things they don't know. It's really interesting how much effort and energy institutions of higher learning put into getting you and I, when we attend those institutions, to get our validation from the degree that they gave us. And so a person goes to law school. They learn how to practice law. They think they're going to be a successful lawyer because they got A's in their class. But the one class they didn't teach in law school was how to go get clients to practice law for. And so you graduated from law school, you hung out your shingle, and you opened a practice, and now you're having a hard time finding business. Why? Because you were led to believe that because I now have this validation certification degree, that means people are going to want to do business with you. People don't even know you exist. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with a degree. In fact, I just found out about, I'm going to back up. So I personally am not a big fan of college, personally, for most people. I'm a big fan of college for the people who need college to do the thing they're going to do. I'm a big fan of that. You're going to be an engineer, right? You're going to build bridges. Please go to college, learn the math, get A's, do not get B's. I do not want to drive across a bridge that starts with a B with a student who graduated with B's. I wanted to get some A's, okay? I'm not confused. So I'm not, and I've heard about, these these Ivy League schools my whole life. Well, I had the privilege recently of speaking at Harvard Business School. My good friend Melvin over here, his daughter attends Harvard Business School, and they had the African American Student Union event, and she worked it out so I could come and speak to those people. And to be honest with you, I didn't know what to expect when I went to Harvard, but I was absolutely blown away. It was mind-blowingly. It was like I went there thinking, oh, okay, I'm going to go encourage these young people about business. I left there thinking, man, I could go here. I'm not even exaggerating at all. I was like, that was amazing. When she showed us how they teach the classes, the classes aren't taught by a professor who's never run a business, and he's just up there running his mouth about theory. No, the classes are taught by successful business people who went out and built successful businesses, and they exited, and they came back, and this is their contribution. And then they study businesses. They actually study business cases, and the students have to read the case, and the professor read the case, and then they come in and they discuss and they debate how they would fix the business at different stages. I'm like, this is so brilliant. So that happened a couple weeks ago. I'm telling you this story for a reason. So I get to Vegas last week. I'm going to this conference, and I get there, and one of my friends calls me. He texts me, hey, are you going to be in Vegas this week for the conference? Yeah, I'm going to be in Vegas for the conference. He says, oh, cool, maybe we can get together and have a podcast. So I see him in the hallway one day. We start talking. He's like, dude, you should do this program that Harvard has for executives. It's called OPM, Harvard OPM. It's like 3 weeks out of the year, you go and live at Harvard. It's $50,000, and you are in this class for 3 weeks, and then you study together, and you study these cases, and it's really, really intense. He said, it's one of the best things I've ever done. This is a guy who I know personally, who built a solar business, and a couple years ago sold that solar business for $180 million. So this is not some slouch, right? And so he's like, I'm telling you, dude. And he called me when he did it, and I was like, yeah, Harvard, schmarvard, right? But now he's talking to me about this. Oh, that sounds really interesting, right? I'm thinking, okay, what 3 weeks of the year can I go to Harvard? Like, what, right? Like to be a part of this OPM program. Why? Because I realized that as much as I know, there's way more than I don't know, right? So I'm not poo-pooing college, and I'm not poo-pooing business school. I'm just saying, don't make the mistake of thinking that's the whole picture. Because I'm legitimately, literally thinking, you know what? I'm probably going to do this program. And you can only get in if somebody who's already been in refers you. He's like, I'll give you a referral. Like, he wants me to do it. He wanted me to do it when he did it. Okay, so anyway. So thinking that being educated is the same as being smart. But even if I do this Harvard OPM program, and I go through it, and I do whatever that thing is, graduate or whatever they call that program when you're done with it. Let's say I go through that program for 3 years. At the end of that program, I'm not going to stop learning. I'm not going to think that just because I got this education, that makes me smart. Okay, you are tracking. Okay. Number 3. Next thing you can do to stop being too smart for your own good is stop talking when you're in the presence of someone who knows more than you. It always blows my mind when I watch an interview and the person interviewing keeps interrupting the person they're interviewing to interject their ideas. It drives me bananas. It's like, dude, let the person talk. I'm not watching this interview because I want to hear you. I've already heard you. I already know what you think. I already know what you believe. I want to hear this person. Stop interrupting them. Let them finish their thoughts. And it's like some interviewers invite people on their podcast or their shows so they can use that person to validate their own knowledge in front of their audience. How many of you have seen that, right? It's like, stop talking. Listen. Even people who don't know as much as you know something you don't know. You learn way more from listening than you do from talking. Well, maybe you don't, but I do. I know I learn way more from listening than I do from talking. And so we'd be so much better off to listen twice as much as we speak. Maybe that's why God gave us one mouth and 2 ears. Hashtag just saying. So talking in the presence of someone who knows more than you. Like, I don't want to show you how much I know if I'm asking you for your advice. I don't need you to know what I know if I'm asking you for advice. I need to know what you know. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to shut my mouth till you're done talking. Wouldn't that be fascinating? Okay. This one's probably going to wreck your brain. And this is the biggest mistake salespeople make. This is the biggest mistake business owners make, is valuing facts over feelings when dealing with people. So, I probably shouldn't say this, but I'm going to. I was talking to my friend Kenny Grant. And Kenny, well, he knows how to say some stuff. He knows how to hit you right where it's at, right? I'm like, but Kenny, I don't understand why my wife does this. And I tried to explain it to her. He said, man. And then he paused. Man, use your logic on yourself. I am telling you, that is the best, not just marriage advice, but it is the best marriage advice I've ever gotten. Man, use your logic on yourself. And see, men are very logically based. And if there's a problem that comes up, logically, we just want to fix it. And we know that there's a logical answer. But sometimes when our wife, our daughter, our sister, our mother tells us that they have a problem, they're not telling us they have a problem because they want us to fix their problem. This is hard for us to wrap our minds around. So ladies, don't hate on us because of this. This is just the way it is. But they're telling us they have a problem so we can feel what they're feeling, and they can feel that we feel what they're feeling. All the ladies are like, yeah, that makes perfect sense to me. I accept it. Understand it, not even going to try. But I'm going to, use my logic on myself. But also, not just when it comes to interpersonal relationships, but also in the arena of selling. You believe that somebody's going to buy your product because in your mind, it's an absolute fact that you have the best product, whatever that means. It doesn't matter. It's not that it doesn't matter that your product's not good. Your product has to be good. But even if it's a scientific, mathematical, measurable fact that you have the best product, that does not mean you're going to make the most sales. Why? Because people don't buy because of the facts. They buy because of the feelings. In fact, I would say that human beings are singularly motivated, and that is that people do things for one reason and one reason only, and that's because they feel like it. So in the arena of interpersonal relationships, in the arena of personal self-control, and in the arena of selling, we would be better off figuring out how we can get other people to feel like doing the thing that we desire them to do. And in our own personal development, I'm way better off figuring out how to make myself feel like doing the thing than I am attempting to figure out how to make myself do the thing. In other words, with regard to me, as long as I don't feel good about working out, regardless of how much I know I should do it, I'm not going to do it. The facts are in. Exercise is better than not exercising. The facts are in. You want to be in shape, eat less, move more. But if I don't feel like eating less and moving more, even though the facts say that I should eat less and move more, I'm not going to eat less and move more. I'm going to eat more and move less. Why? Because that's what I feel like doing. And I had to figure out for my own health, because I'm 63, and I'm probably going to be 64 before I'm 62 again. It's just a guess. I had to figure out how can I make myself feel like working out. And the first thing I had to do was stop telling myself I don't like exercise. And start telling myself, you know what? I love how I feel when I'm done working out. And I do. I love how I feel when I'm done working out. Now, I'm not going to talk about all the stuff that happens in the interim. I ain't going to talk about how I feel when I start working out. I ain't going to talk about how I feel while I'm working out. But when I'm done, I feel good. And so the reason I'm telling you that is some of you You've been outsmarting yourself because you know the things you should do, but you're not doing them because you don't feel like it. And you don't even know how to make yourself feel like it. But I probably shouldn't do this. Do I have time to do this? I do, I think. Pray for me. I'm going to show you how to get yourself to feel like doing the things that are in your best interest instead of just how to do them. Because if somebody teaches you this, by the way, this is why people read personal development books and then don't succeed. This is why people get coached by people and then they don't do what the coach told them to do. Why? Because the coach taught them how to do it, but they didn't teach them how to feel like doing it. This is why salespeople give a brilliant presentation and nobody buys, because you laid out all the facts and the facts were true. But the fact is, the facts don't matter. They don't matter most. You say, what do you mean? I'm going to show you something I learned from Romans chapter 6. And some of you have seen it before, and some of you haven't. I don't know that I've ever done this on YouTube. I'm not going to go into all the detail, but this is you. These are the facts. And you observe the facts. Maybe you see them, maybe you hear them. And then the first thing you do when you observe the facts is you put a frame around those facts. And the fact has a positive aspect and a negative aspect, and you put that frame, that fact goes in your head as a focus. You are focused in your head. But you're not focused on the fact. You think you're focused on the fact, but I promise you, you are never, none of us are there's almost never a time when we're focused on the facts. We're almost always focused on an aspect of the facts. We're either focused on the positive aspect of the fact or we're focused on the negative aspect of the fact. And it does not matter what the fact is. Every fact has a positive and negative. Every one. It does not matter. But the one we're focused on determines what we build in our mind. As a result of that focus, we build a belief. That belief is also a two-sided coin. And that belief, if we focused on the positive aspect of the fact, the belief is going to manifest as faith. If we focus on the negative aspect of the fact, that belief is going to manifest as doubt. Here's where most people are confused. Most people think that faith is belief and doubt is the absence of belief. But faith and doubt are both belief. Faith is belief in the outcome I desire. Doubt is belief in the outcome I don't desire. And so when I'm focused on the negative aspect of the fact, I'm going to manufacture a belief, and then that belief that I manufacture is going to travel down into my heart, and it's going to produce a feeling in my heart. And this is what causes us to act or not act. The feeling in our heart is like, you know why you go to bed? Because you feel what? Tired. Right? You eat because you feel what? Hungry. You drink water because you feel what? Thirsty. Now, sometimes we'll drink water because we just know we should, but the reality is, which one's more compelling, knowing you should or being thirsty? Being thirsty. So feelings are the fuel that produces action in everyone. So this feeling in our heart, if I'm focused on the positive aspect of the fact, it's going to manifest as anticipation. But if I'm focused on the negative aspect of the fact, that feeling is going to manifest as anxiety. Now, what's the difference? Anticipation is the energy I get when the outcome that I expect is desirable to me. So when I'm expecting a favorable outcome, it energizes me. By the way, you say, Myron, what do you mean? Okay, here's what I mean. Christmas Eve. Like 3 weeks ago, you snuck into your parents' room to see what you were getting. So you already know what's coming the next day. Your parents, because they were sadistic like mine, made you go to bed early on Christmas Eve. So you went to bed, but you couldn't what? You couldn't what? You couldn't sleep. Why couldn't you sleep? Because you were so excited about what you knew was going to happen the next day that it energized you so you couldn't sleep. That feeling of energy that doesn't let you sleep, that's called anticipation. Anticipation is the energy I get when the outcome I expect is desirable to me. So when I'm expecting a favorable outcome, let's say I'm an author, and I'm expecting to sell 10 million books. I do not have writer's block. But if I'm an author And I think, well, what if I write this book and nobody likes it? Well, what if I write this book and people start calling me names? What if I write this book and find out later that I'm wrong and then it's going to be in print? And then, blah, blah, blah. Well, if that's it, then I'm going to have anxiety. And now I have writer's block. Writer's block is nothing more than believing the book's not going to be good or believing the book's not going to sell. Oh, so do you see how focusing on the facts doesn't matter? Focus on the aspect of the fact that's going to give you the feeling you desire to have, that's going to help you produce the action you desire to produce. And so what happens is the focus in our head causes a feeling in our heart. And by the way, anticipation is the energy I get when the outcome I expect is desirable to me. But anxiety is wasting present energy on a future outcome that's wasting present energy on a future outcome that's undesirable to me. What does that mean? That means I'm expecting to be eaten by lions and tigers and bears. Oh no. And so what happens? My heart starts racing. I'm really worried about, oh my goodness, it's almost the end of the month and I don't know where I'm going to get my rent from. My head's sweating, my hands are sweating, I can't sleep. I'm all revved up, but I'm not producing anything. I'm just wasting energy worrying about tomorrow. That's why Jesus said, don't worry about tomorrow. Take no thought for the morrow. For the morrow shall take thought for the things of itself, sufficient unto the day is the evil thereof. What does that mean? It means stop wasting today's energy worrying about tomorrow's problem. And so many people do it. But what? I got a doctor's appointment. I'm so afraid. What if I find out? Stop it. Okay? So now, anxiety is wasting present energy on a future outcome that's undesirable to me. And so what happens is, if I'm focused on the positive aspect of the fact, it makes me happy, but if I'm focused on the negative aspect of the fact, it makes me sad. And we think it's the fact. I'm having a bad day. You're not having a bad day. You're just focused on the negative aspects of your day. You're focused on the difficulty in your day. Instead of focusing on the blessing of your day, you're focused on the burden of your day. They're both there. Say, Myron, how could you say they're both there? Because I know they're both there. Have you ever eaten? Everything has two sides. Have you ever eaten a one-sided piece of bread? Have you? No. Have you ever written on a one-sided piece of paper? No. You are writing on a two-sided piece of paper right now. Have you ever flipped a one-sided coin? No. Why? Because it cannot exist. Not because it does not exist. It's impossible for anything to exist with only one side, including your circumstance. And so what happens is we get so locked in on the thing we don't desire that we are drawn towards it because we have anxiety that robs us of our energy to take the action that would keep that thing from happening. That's why worrying about something makes it happen. And so you're so worried about what's going to happen because, oh, I need to make sure I'm ready. Oh, I don't know what I'm going to do. You fumbled on a 1 yard line. Okay. So the focus in our head creates the feeling in our heart, and the feeling in our heart creates the function in our hands. What's the function in my hand? Well, it depends. Are you focused on the positive aspect of the fact? Are you manufacturing a belief called faith? Are you building anticipation, like you're getting energy from your expectation of this future outcome? Well, if that's the case, then the function in your hand is called power. You now have the power to act. But, if you're focused on the negative aspect of the fact and you're manufacturing a belief called doubt, and the feeling in your heart is anxiety, and you're wasting the energy that you could use to solve the problem, worrying about the problem not being solved, then the function in your hand is called powerlessness. But Myron, you don't understand. I suffer from depression. I know. You suffer from imagining the worst outcomes. And I know if you're really, really good at imagining the worst outcomes, you could use that very same imagination to imagine the best outcomes that would energize you to move away from the worst outcome that you've been worried about for the last 16 and a half years. See, one of the things we do that outsmart ourselves is we think that the facts matter most. The facts don't matter most. If the facts mattered most, Nelson Mandela would never have become the president of South Africa. The facts don't matter most. If the facts mattered most, Viktor Frankl would have died in a concentration camp. The facts don't matter most. If the facts mattered most, Frederick Douglass would have never been freed. Stop acting as if, well, this is the way it is and it's so terrible. No, that's what you're focused on and it's terrible, and so you're going to go out and produce terrible results and make your life a self-fulfilling prophecy. Period. No. Take the period back. Exclamation point. Okay. So, valuing facts over feelings when you're dealing with people. So, how can I use this illustration that I just gave when I'm dealing with people if I'm selling somebody something? Instead of me telling them how wonderful my product is, instead of telling them how long my company has been in business, what if instead I just tell them in great detail how their life is going to look and how their family's going to feel and how their friends are going to feel and how they're going to feel when they have the result they desire to get? Now I've empowered them to say yes, as opposed to giving them a whole bunch of logical reasons and thinking that that matters. Okay. Number 5. We only have 2 more after this. Number 5. Focusing on being right when a focus on being rich would serve you more. So many people go through life attempting to prove themselves right. In fact, they're so vested in being right. People love to argue. They think it makes them look good. I'm going to prove this person wrong in front of all these people. Yep, that's what you're going to do. You know what fascinates me? It fascinates me, not just on my channel, but on anybody's channel. Like, fascinating how much people believe they know what somebody else should do with their money, but you don't even care enough to go make enough money to do that thing yourself. Just, real talk. Okay. So, focusing on being right more than being rich. Like, you have it, maybe it's because you have a degree. Maybe it's because something your mom told you. Maybe it's something because your grandfather told you, and y'all are really close. But you go through life attempting to prove your theories right. It might serve you better to see if you can prove them wrong. Just saying. Okay, which brings me to my point number 6. This is one of the 7 things you can stop doing to keep from being too smart for your own good. Stop having answers you're afraid to question. So, I'm a student of the Bible. And I'm not picking on anybody's religion. I pick on all religions because, anyway, I do. But I'm just going to tell the story how it happened. So we used to have these Jehovah's Witnesses that would come by our house. And people say, oh, no, don't let them in your house. Oh, I'm letting them in. The longer they talk to me, the less time they're going to have to talk to my neighbors. And so I'm keeping it real. So they come in the house, and we start talking. And they'll say, yeah, but God's name is Jehovah. And I always ask them the same question. What was his name before 1619? People come and they leave a negative comment that's like, it's a commentlopedia to prove you wrong. And then you go to their YouTube channel, and they've not created one video. So you believe what you believe so much to write 37,000 words in a comment to people who didn't come to hear from you. But you don't believe in what you say you believe enough to go produce your own video on it because you're only good at poo-pooing on somebody else's work, not creating some work of your own. Now, it doesn't even bother me. I just find it fascinating. If you really believed it that much, wouldn't you have done something about it already? People say, well, I just think rich people should give more of their money away. Okay, so let me ask you a question. Do you really believe it? I really believe it. Okay, so let me ask you a question. Are you rich? No. Do you give most of your money away? No, I would, but if I was rich. Okay, so then if you really believe that rich people should give all their money away, if what you think they should give their money away to was really that valuable to you, you would value it enough to go get rich and give all your money to it. It's so